Amazing. Hello, everyone. We are live once again. We were live earlier, Ileana, with Peter, one new participant of the Fully Booked Translator Formula. And now we're again live for the regular Ask Your Mentor Anything live series. So, hello, everyone. We're
Hi,
waiting a few
everybody.
minutes. Hello, Ileana. Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Okay, perfect. So, where are you right now based?
I'm in Italy, as always, and I am in my office
Where in Italy is the office?
in Piacenza, nearby Milan.
Near Milan, amazing. I love
Yeah.
your pronunciation. Okay, so we're live again with the Ask Your Mentor Anything live. Hello, Ahmed. Thank you for joining us live, guys. Let me know in the chat where are you watching me from. I'm always curious. So, Ahmed, where are you from? And let us know if you have any questions about today's topic, which actually was an inspiration of Ileana. So, Ileana, she thought, what's the subject? Yes, how to achieve a six-figure year annual income with the right plan. It's the accountant and Ileana's plan that they use so Ileana to be able to reach a six-figure business. So she created, Ileana, some slides for you. Ileana is a member of our annual mastermind alumni. She's a successful graduate of both of my programs, the Fully Booked Algeria. Amazing. Welcome, Ahmed. She's also a successful graduate of the Fully Booked Translator Formula. Hello, Nicola. Great to see you here. I hope that you were going to use this with your accountant as well. Hello, Dorota. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us live. I think it's a hot topic today, Ileana.
Well, I
Uh,
hope so.
and definitely, guys, make the most out of it by asking us questions, okay? So we would love to hear your questions. Use the chat below and let us know where are you watching us from, okay? And if you have any questions about this topic, Dorota, Nicola, Ahmed, everyone that you are watching us, okay? So I know Dorota is in Poland. Nicola, where are you based currently? Are you in Bulgaria? And let us know if you have questions or insights that you would like to share on this topic. So as you might know, okay, I will give you the speech, shortly. Ileana, I would like you to introduce to people that they might be joining us for the first time, at least shortly. Just a short introduction on my part. Apart from you being a successful graduate of both of my programs, you are a successful entrepreneur yourself. You've been an interpreter. You changed your business model to translation and interpretation. You have gained some of the most prestigious, let's say, cosmetic brands all over the world. We cannot name them, but you can think about which of these are using your method. And we have discussed this method with the portfolios in previous lives. So, guys, if you've missed those two lives with Ileana about portfolio, go back and find them on our YouTube channel and in the Mentoring for Translators community under video section. Amazing. Home office in Sofia. Amazing, Nicola. And so we have two lives with portfolio, how to create target portfolios to gain your high paying clients and well-esteemed clients through LinkedIn or other social media platforms or email marketing, other methods. But Ileana, she uses mostly LinkedIn. Is that correct, Ileana? And of course, networking
Yes.
events. And
Yes.
today is a hot topic, another hot topic. Okay. She's going to share her expertise, her own experience, because that's why we have it Ask Your Mentor Anything. We share our own experience. We don't suggest you to implement anything without the prior, let's say, advice of your accountants, lawyers, and so on. So you need to take advice for professional reasons from your own accountants and lawyers. But it's a great starting point and a great source of inspiration for you to see how other people like Ileana, they're able to reach six-figure businesses, what business plans and financial plans Ileana has been using with the help of her accountant and also being a member of our alumni as a mentoring program to get five-figure projects. That's my promise for the alumni. And that's what Ileana and Luna they have been getting, working with me and the other participants. They are heading to this goal. So let us know why you're here. Nicola, Dorota, Ahmed, what you're interested in. Are you interested in getting a six-figure annual revenue? Are you interested in getting five-figure projects? What's, let's say, your main goal? And definitely, if you have any questions along the way, because Ileana has created some slides, let us know. And at the end, I will show you my method, let's say, I've been using with my one-to-one clients to actually helping them set up their goals, their rates, okay, so as to reach their goals, which might be a six-figure revenue. So we put into papers our goal, the end results, a six-figure annual revenue, and we start, okay, by charging the right rates right away, because most of the translators, they actually do the opposite. They start getting projects without knowing their threshold, the minimum that they should charge in order to make a living. So that's why we end up as translators to work many hours, but at the end, not to get where we would like to get, and some of us maybe also are not able to pay our bills. So by changing this, okay, and start, instead of accepting any project at any rate, to know how much we need to charge in order to make ends meet at the end of the month, to pay our bills, and also to make a six-figure business. That's what we're going to do together today. So use the chat below. Let us know if you have any questions or insights you would like to share. And Ileana, the floor is yours. Let us know a bit about you, okay, for those people that they are new here. And of course, we're getting into our topic shortly after your introduction. Amazing, guys. Thank you for joining us live.
So thank you so much for having me and for giving me this fantastic opportunity to share this example. And I am Ileana. I am a translator and interpreter since 2006. And I've always worked as a translator and both as an interpreter, a consecutive interpreter. And my languages are German, English, and French into my native Italian. And some years ago, due to the pandemic, I experienced a crisis because, as you all know, the events were all cancelled. That's why I decided
events. Yes, the live events.
Live events.
The in-person events. Yes. Okay.
Yes, of course. That's why I decided to enroll to the fully booked translator formula. And yes, for 2020 and 2021, I worked only as a translator. Whereas last year, I asked the events started a little bit more. And so, yes, last year I worked both as an interpreter and as a translator. And yes, as far as big projects is concerned, I can count on a network of qualified and skilled colleagues. And yes, so I'm based in Italy, but I'm used to travel all over the world. And yes, probably many of you already know me because I am the community manager on the Facebook group together with Luna.
For Translators group, okay?
Yes, in the Mentoring for Translators group.
More than 2,000 people, 2,000 colleagues from all over the world. So if you're not yet member, join us on Facebook.
Yes, join us because you can get always some nice tips and tricks, and it is a way to get in touch and to know more about other colleagues and other experiences. And it's in any case a way of growing.
Definitely, it's a private community for those that don't use many social media. So it's a safe community as well. And we're preparing behind the scenes some great stuff with Ileana. So we're going to disclose later this year. So if you're not yet a member, I would definitely suggest you to become one. Amazing, Ileana.
Yes, and as you told before, so the end of the year or the beginning of the year, it's the perfect time to start, let's say, with a good financial plan, or to review it, or of course to do both if you had already one. So the one I'm proposing now today, it's only an example. Of course, it works both for newbies and for established businesses. And of course, it is only an example because every country has got its particular rule, its particular legislation, and of course, the taxation is also different. But in any case, you will get, let's say, an example, and from that you can move on, adapting it to your precise situation. I'm reading Nicola. Would be amazing.
So, Nicola, the projects that they bring 5-figure projects to my mentees like Luna, Ileana, you can even imagine they're not that big projects when it comes as a volume, or maybe, the participation of other people. It's about charging the right amount of money, and getting 5-figure projects doesn't mean also that you depend on one or two different vendors or suppliers. So definitely we can discuss that, because it's a great comment. There's a misconception that we have in our industry. To get a 5-figure project, you need to depend on a specific client or a big volume, which means that no, we are talking about 1-2 people partnership that they're able, to make such a project come true. And Ileana is going to talk about that as well. So Ileana, you can describe a bit without disclosing confidential information, what's a
Yes.
5-figure project is, and I can describe also my own experience. So thank you for sharing that,
Can I
Nicola. But
give
it's
you
not all.
an example?
Yeah, please. Yeah, if you have it ready. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So the first that comes to my mind, for example, when I work as an interpreter, for example, I have the interpreting gig of, for example, 3, 4, 5 days. I don't know. And then, for example, if it is an exhibition, you have to prepare, I don't know, the marketing materials and something like that. Or, for example, after the exhibition, you always have some contracts to translate. And so that is a big project. It means that it involves, or at least it is for me like that, it involves many services. So both translation and interpreting, or yes, or even, let's say, yes, more skills, because, for example, if you translate the marketing materials, of course they are different from the legal ones.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
But
that is for me, for example, a 5-figure project.
So for me, a 5-figure project, it's definitely not heavily dependent on a single project or individual client. And also get a 5-figure project was for me a 2-week project. So I had to deliver it in 2 weeks. So imagine, Nicola, it didn't take me much of my time or dependence. 20%, as you say, of your current period revenue, nothing to do with this. So you can have many concurrent smaller projects, definitely. But the 5-figure projects are not always very time consuming, or that volume is not that high that they, take your time from you. So it was a 600 pages, let's say, I cannot recall exactly, it was a press release. Definitely, we had divided into some professionals. We did it, we delivered on time. It wasn't that big. We didn't depend on that client, definitely. And we got the 5-figure amount in more or less 2 weeks, Nicola. So that's what I'm really focusing with my mentees in my annual alumni. And that's what we're going to do for you too. So you don't need to choose between, many concurrent smaller projects and bigger ones. You can have both. You can have small, concurrent projects, but also you can have also big projects that come, even once per month. That's more than enough for you to have, a 5-figure month revenue with just one project that doesn't take you a whole month. Okay, is this clear, Nicola? Mm-hmm.
It can be also, for example, another example that comes to my mind. It can be also, for example, an ongoing collaboration with a specific company, both for translation or interpreting. And for example, as far as interpreting is concerned, for example, they need your help 2 days a month, for example, but the collaboration, for example, lasts 1 year. So the big project, you can mean it as a single project per each month, or a big project if you consider the whole year. So it can be both.
So Nicola says that totally acceptable what you described. So that's what we're going to do for you too, Nicola, but also that's what Ileana describes, and that also Luna has described another video live here with me. So definitely Nicola is doable, and we can do that. That's, another misconception, that we think that the 5-figure, projects needs to be, longer projects, or we need to depend on a bigger client. No, Nicola, we can find such clients. It's about charging, your worth, and according per project and per values. Definitely, that's something we're going to cover in our program, because Nicola is also a member of my VIP 6-month mentoring program, and also he has access as a bonus to my fully booked translator formulas at 3 months. So Nicola, welcome. And he's also in the alumni, so you can discuss that in the alumni later this month with Ileana and Luna in our private call with Lisa and the rest of the participants, Alban, and so on, in our alumni. Amazing, Nicola. But if you have more questions and such comments, please use them, because it's really important to clarify what we're going to discuss about. So you were about to say?
No, so these were only two examples. Of course, if you have not to depend on one client, because if you work for this specific client, for example, 2 days a month, you have the rest of the month to dedicate to other projects and clients and so on. So
Exactly. And the pipeline, the funnel that we create, your process for your marketing, Nicola, that's actually aims at bringing to you 100 clients per day or per week, depending on your capacity. So that definitely is not going to devote all of your time to one or two big clients or big projects. And especially the way that you have created your business model, Nicola, you can actually always outsource or have your team working for you while you're focusing on your business growth. Amazing. So let's start. Ileana, is there anything else you would like to add?
no, we can start with the slides, and then if there are any questions, I am
Is this the
available.
first slide? Okay, amazing. So we have the first slide, and we are going to talk about planning today. We were about to
Yes.
call it business plan, but it's not a business plan because for me, the business plan has also other aspects. Most probably it's going to be financial plan and the way that Ileana works with her accountant.
Yes,
You
it was a bit too complicated to explain a business
So
plan.
let's start with your second slide. So I've changed the
But
first.
it is something really very similar because after all, we speak about money and amounts, and so you can get a clearer idea of
Yeah.
what it is.
Yes, definitely. But a business plan is more than numbers. Of course, it includes numbers, but a business plan has many, many other, aspects that you need to work with your, let's say, business development manager and so on. The accountant has only one specific part of the business plan. So today we're
Yeah.
going to talk about money and numbers with Ileana. So stay tuned, guys, and let us know if you have questions in the chat. So Ileana, the stage is yours. Can't wait to hear also. That's also my to this
Well,
topic.
so many of us translators and interpreters are not used to to discuss about numbers,
Yeah.
but of course they are really very important because we are a business and we have to pay the bills at the end of the month. And of course, if you do not plan your money, you won't achieve, let's say, your goals. And of course, you have to plan goals as far as, for example, clients, as far as investments, courses, CPDs, and so on, coaching also, for example. But in order to stick to your plan, also from a financial point of view, you have to, let's say, to have a clear idea of what your expenses and your taxes will be, according, of course, to your specific situation. Because I tell you the specific example here in Italy. For example, if you are a starting out translator, you have a specific taxation that it is not so heavy because, of course, you are a starting translator, a starting business, and so the taxes are not so high if you are, for example, already an established business.
Exactly. Here in Greece, the same. And also the 5 first years of a new freelance translator here, they have some exceptions of taxes and extra, things that we need to pay as professionals. So it's a good way to start, having and getting advice from a good accountant on this aspect. But it only refers to new people that they open their books, for the first time, especially in that specific industry. Amazing.
Yeah. Whereas on the opposite side, if you are already an established business, you have to check all your expenses because, of course, if you have, for example, a website, if you have, for example, people who works for you and you have to pay them, if you have, for example, like me, I have 3 memberships to the professional organizations. So you have to have a clear idea at the beginning of the year, the precise amount of money that you are going to spend. And then, yes, have a precise idea of what your expense will be, more or less. Then, of course, you cannot plan anything. You have to adjust, let's say, during the way. But having a precise idea of what your expenses and your taxes will be helps you to establish a right fee. for your clients, or at least having a minimum, let's say a minimum base, and then you can start developing from that one.
Exactly. Definitely, because most of the times what I've seen, as a misconception is actually we create a rate, or we choose our rates based on the time that we spend translating, whereas a business has not only the time that we translate, it has the admin time, the invoicing time, the time you spend with your clients negotiating a project, the taxes that we definitely, here in Greece, for example, is 29%. Almost 1/3 of our income, taxes
Yeah.
goes to the government. So we need to take that into calculation. So let's say if you have a serious discussion with your accountant, they will tell you, for example, that if you charge the end client 50 euros, let's say, including taxes, the net amount that will remain to your pocket, let's say, will not be more than 5 euros. And that's something you need to have very clear in your head to realize how low you charge your services when you charge 1 cent, 3 cents, 4 cents, 6 cents, okay? And also depending on the tax that you have to pay in your country. So that's definitely food for thought the next time you're going to accept a lower rate. And of course, at the end of this video, I will show you my advice on how to set up your rates the right way. So at least to be able to pay your bills and then make profit. Because as Ileana mentioned, as a freelancer, most of you tell me, Virginia, I'm not a business, I'm a freelancer. You should consider yourself as a business, even if you're a freelancer. The fact that you're a solopreneur doesn't mean that you don't need to market yourself as a business or to promote yourself as a business and to charge as a business just to be able to make profit. And why is profit is that so important? Because if you don't make a profit, you're not a business. If you don't make a profit, you won't be able to pay your bills as a freelancer. And definitely, if you don't make a profit, you are a charity. So if you decide to be a charity, that's good. Okay, I'm not against charities, but you need to decide, because if you call yourself entrepreneur or freelancer or professional, you need to make profit to call yourself so. And that's something we need to be very clear with yourselves. And also, there's an ethical issue here, Ileana. I don't know if you would like to address that as well. That most translators, they tell me, but if I charge that much for a book translation, isn't it unethical? I've heard that so many times. Or if I charge that much, that high amount, isn't it unethical? And that was the first time. I have never considered that, not because I'm not unethical myself, because I always charge based on, as you mentioned, taxes, the things I need to pay, and being aware of the profit I would like to make. I know my threshold. I know what's the minimum I need to charge just to make ends meet and at least to pay my bills. And I know that if I go lower than this, I won't be able to make my bills. So I won't make any profit. So it isn't worth it to accept projects if you know that beforehand. And that saves you a lot of time and money along the way. So I'm sorry for the interruption. Let's continue here with the
No problem. Yes, for me the most important thing is that when you put the numbers on a paper or on an Excel file, you are aware of that. So you perceive how much, for example, you spend for, I don't know, professional memberships, for marketing, for example, for other things. And you will have a concrete idea of what the gross amount is and the net amount is, and you can perceive the difference. So it's really a good way to, let's say, yes, to establish your minimum fee, and to reject, let's say, the bottom feeder, because you are aware that you cannot accept such rates that are under your minimum fee. Otherwise, as you told us, you are a charity, but no more a business.
Exactly. We need to be aware, at least, of where we stand.
Yeah. So as I said before, you have to analyze your condition first. So if you are a newbie or if you are already an established business, and yes, make a precise analysis of the tools, for example, that you need, as far as the softwares or the programs and so on, because everybody of them has, for example, an annual subscription, for example, as LinkedIn. And yes, you have to take all the things into consideration. So at the beginning of the year, doing, let's say, an estimation of what you would like to do, to have. And then, of course, you adjust it during the way. Because, for example, last year, I was already done, let's say, as far as my CPD was concerned. But I found a wonderful a wonderful course about perfumery, which is
Mhm.
one of my specialization field.
Wow.
And then I decided to take part in it, even if I didn't plan it before.
It
But
wasn't
and
included in your annual plan, okay? So it was a
yes,
decision on the
it
spot.
wasn't included in my annual plan. So you can decide to, let's
Yeah,
say,
of course.
to add different expenses along the way,
Mhm.
or for example, allocate a general amount, let's say, I don't know, 1,000 euro, 2,000 euro, and then as soon as you spend this money, you review your plan. So you can do both. And yes, so as I told you, it is a good way to plan. Then if everything if anything happens, of course you have to be prepared. And so it's always useful to have
To have
a
some
sort of
aside
treasure.
money for unexpected,
Yes,
expenses or budget
yes,
aside.
yes. Because, for example, one time it happened to me that my computer broke. Or, for example, I don't know, I had a break on the line, and so
Of
I
course,
had to,
of course. Taxes,
yes,
for example, expected. You never know,
yes, to organize myself in another way. So it is always,
family expenses. Yeah, maybe
yes,
collaborate. Never know.
thoughtful to have some money apart.
You
If you don't,
mentioned, yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
sorry. No,
I
no,
was
tell
going to
me.
say that you mentioned here some tools in the preparation stage. What tools are you referring to?
Well, tools, I mean, which tools do you need in order to be a translator? For example, you need, for example, a computer, a Wi-Fi line.
These are
Um,
preparation tools that you mentioned here. Plan. Which tools do you need that you mentioned?
no, I was referring to the newbie situation. So if you are a newbie, of course, you need, of course, the tools. So the PC, an headset, I don't
Hmm?
know, something like that.
You mean expenses that you have for your equipment?
Yes, yes,
Okay, and
for
tools
the
like
equipment.
software. Okay, you need to write down all of the software, hardware that you might be needing. Okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
Let's go to the
We
next slide. Yeah. Mhm.
yes, we can go to the next one.
It doesn't go for some reason. Okay, I will change. You can start. You can continue.
Okay. So as far as you have more or less a plan, I always yes recommend to have a business consultant, or yes, an advisor, something like
This is
that,
the next
because it
slide. This is the
yes it
next
is
slide.
that
Perfect.
yes, in order to calculate all the taxes, because of course, being so different from each country, and depending on your personal situation, of course it is very yes very difficult that everybody of us knows that. So also for me at the beginning was really complicated to yes to identify them. And also because during the years things change, and so that's why you have to yes to get the recommendation, or let's say you have to ask for advice to a fiscal consultant, to an advisor, to be sure that you are in the right, let's say, condition.
And of course, a good accountant
And
will advise you. If the accountant is good, even if you don't ask them, they should be able to advise you in such direction. Like if they know that you need to change the business model, if you need, so as to save some expenses or some tax. That's why it's very, very important to have a good accountant, definitely.
yeah, that's right. Because of course you have to include all the taxes and all the expenses that not depend, let's say, on you personally, that
Mhm.
are that are compulsory because they are yes due by law, so that you can include them into your gross income. Mm?
Mhm.
Okay, so we can go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as I told you, taxes are really very different depending on your situation and your country. And of course, you have to think to your future social security. And that is a percentage depending on your turnover, on your income. And of course, it is compulsory. So that's why you have to calculate it in your fees, because of course during the year or at the end of the year you are obliged to pay it.
Amazing. Okay, and that's something also your accountant can give you such information. Is that correct?
Yes, of course. So
Okay. Is this something that your accountant has created this for you, Ileana, or you create this yourself?
no, we created it together, of course. Because yes, this is let's say the file that I've used more or less yes, some years ago.
Okay, that's
In
just an
order,
example, guys. Okay,
yes,
that
of
will
course,
guide us
of
on
course,
how
it
to
is only
do it.
an example. So the numbers are only an example. It is an Excel file. So if you change the numbers, of course, everything will change because there are formulas in it.
Mhm.
But let's say starting from a yearly goal income of 50,000 euro, then you have, for example, in Italy, the state doesn't consider the 22%, and so you start paying taxes on 39,000 euro. Then you have the social security, which is 9,000, and this tax of 15%. So it means that if you have a turnover of 50,000 euro, and you deduct your social your taxes and your social security, which is here 13,000 euros more or less, your net income is equal to 36,000 euro.
So one states that you definitely need to know your difference between net income that says here and year annual revenue, because that's a difference between the net, okay, amount that you earn
Yeah.
and the actual gross income, which actually includes all the tax that here you see. And that's also an example for Italian system. So if you're Italian, of course, you can advise Ileana, okay, and more or less will be similar to you. But if you are based on a different country, most probably this varies, okay, so it's totally different. So we have, instead here in Greece, instead of 22, we have 24%, okay? And the annual, for example, income, it's actually 29%, most probably. I don't know if you have somewhere the annual taxes. So you need to adjust it based on your current legal system of your country and tax system. Okay, amazing.
Yes, of course.
We have the
This
net.
is only an
Mhm.
Yeah, this is only an example to give you an idea, and yes, to have a draft from which you can start. Then, of course, it has to be adjusted to your personal situation and to your country.
Of course, always. So then we have the net amount, and then we have the company expenses. Is it per year here? The 1,000? It's very low. So
Yes.
usually
No,
my
of course.
company expenses are more than this, okay?
No, of course, it is only an example. So here, for example, 1,000 euro, you can for example, allocate them for courses, or for example, memberships. Of course, you cannot have so low company expenses, but it is only, yes, let's say
An example.
an
Yeah,
example.
usually in
Yes.
the expenses that most people they don't know, expenses can be also traveling if you travel for a conference. You know, expenses can be if you buy a PC or you have hardware or software, also the software that you work. If you use a cattle and you pay on subscription, that also, you know, can be included in your company expense. If you hire someone or if you outsource, that also company expenses. So you need to know, you know, if you have a rent or whatever that is included, you know, in order to run a company, that's included in the company expense. But also you need to advise take advantage of your accountant in order to have it clear in your head, okay, the company expense that you see here.
Yes, of course. This is only an example. So if from 36, then you have to deduct minus 1,000, minus 3,000, and then you have 32. So this is the net income without expenses.
what remains to you, let's say. And then you have the
So
monthly, so you can divide it. You divide it by 12 or by
yes,
10?
I divided by 12, by 12 to 32, by 12, and it
Okay.
is this amount, 2,000 and more or less 600, 700 euro.
So you can find the
Then, of course,
invoiceable hours. Okay.
yes, for example, I work 32 hours per week. Let's say it is always an example, because then you have to, yes, to adjust
It's
it
8
on.
hours per 4 day, or more or less
Yes, more
5
or
hours
less.
per
I
day.
try, let's say, I try to have a Friday free,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So
but
it's like 4 days,
but
8 hours per day. Mm-hmm.
yes, but it's not a rule, you know. So sometimes it is different because when I travel, for example, for exhibitions, so it can be also Saturday and Sunday. So it is really very, very different for me, at least.
And what I would also say here is that some people, they don't include the invoiceable hours. Is actually, you need not only the hours that you translate, you include hours that you attend the CPD, you include the hours that it takes you to issue the invoices for your clients, you include the hours that you do the marketing for your business. And also you need to take into consideration so as to exclude, the hours that you might be taking vacation on, okay? Or the hours that you foresee.
Yes,
Okay,
because
you need to predict some hours that you need to
yes,
exclude.
I can.
Mhm.
Yes, I considered, for example, 47 workable weeks per
Exactly.
year. So it means that 5 weeks are dedicated to, I don't know, vacation or illness, let's say.
So I have
If it,
more. For example, in my case, I exclude 2 months. So I never, use 12 months as a period. I have 2 months. And I divide it
okay.
here, I might take some weeks, through the year. And also I include the fact that I won't be working if I'm at the conference. And also I include the fact that
Yes.
illness, sickness or whatever, unexpected, family issues that might hold me back from actually translating and working on my business. So
hmm
I use the sim that easier for me to have 10 months as working months instead of 12, that is the annual, let's say, month calculation.
hmm
It really helps
And
me to
then,
in between, the frames that I have predicted initially.
yes, yes, this is only a prediction. And
Yeah,
then
that's
of
also
course,
for everyone is different, but for me, 10 months is safer because I can, predict the unpredictable, to include it safer, let's say, in my calculations. That's what I mean.
hmm of course, then if you multiply 32, so weekly hours per 47, you get the number of invoiceable yearly hours, so
Mm-hmm.
1,500.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the weekly goal turnover is the 50,000, the initial 50,000 amount divided per 12.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry. It is the net. No, it is the net income for probably yes. Um,
You have C4 divided like by, you say here C29, which we cannot see here because the screenshot.
well, yes, it is a C for. I can yes
Yeah, you
send
have
you
the hours
later,
that you
or we
work.
can have another live with the
Pretty easy.
exercise.
Yeah, it's pretty easy because you divide the hours and I will show you how I do it. Okay, then you know how many hours you
Yes.
work. Then you can find through the hours that you work per week your goal, okay, for net
hmm
income based on your gross that you have here, the 2000. Okay, so you find how much should be the net. So as you to be able to find your hourly rate, so you divide it with the hours, okay, this is the
Yes.
number. And then in
Perfect.
order to find your per word
And
fee,
then
you need to
yes,
know
I
your
considered.
hourly output. Okay.
Yes, I considered 20 to 250 words per hour.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which
so
for
yes,
some
if
people might be different. I have heard people they translate 500 words. I have heard people, more or less you need to choose your own numbers. That's why when I'm asking, people what's your output or how many, words have you translated last year, they tell me they don't know. And those people, they're making a 6-figure or 5-figure, months and 6-figure business, and they don't know. You need to know your numbers. I know that as translators, we avoid to keep, notes of our numbers, but it's really important to know where you stand. Like how many words you been translated, how many hours you devoted there, what was your income, so as to know where you want to go. And I will show you as soon as we finalize here the slides, Why is that so important to know your numbers? Because you cannot predict what you need to change from your current situation if you don't know your current situation so as to achieve your goals. So you need to know both where you stand right now and where you want to go so as to have the path that it will take you there. And the path is, as you see here, the goal per word fee and the goal per hourly rate. Okay, that Ileana has here. And totally, I think Ileana is totally doable. Okay, also the amount.
Yes, so you know from that for example you won't accept any job under 0.13 cent.
If you would like to make the 50K and working
if you would like, yes,
in that
to
specific
stick,
frequency, okay?
that's
Yes.
right. If you would like to stick to your goal, of course, if I don't know, if you have an exception, and for example, you accept a job for 0.12, okay, as an exception for one time, you can do that. So it's up to you. So, but at least with this scheme, with this method, you have a precise, let's say, yes, a precise schedule to stick to.
Exactly.
And that is really very helpful. It helps a lot to have a precise idea and to stick to our goals.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go to the next slide. Thank you so much. We can have, guys, if you think that you need the Excel exactly with the calculations, we can have another live with Ileana who shows us this one. But let us know in the comments if there is a need or if there is an interest in this, we can consider, because we have another live Ileana schedule, which is on, can you remind me?
On February, yes, in February, but we didn't fix the date yet.
Not the date, but the topic is on.
Well, the topic is how to get the most out of an exhibition.
Yes, using exhibition as a client acquisition
strategy. Being a visitor.
So how you can get clients with Ileana's method by attending, international events. And I think that's really, really helpful. But if you think that you would like us to have a second live on this topic about sharing the Excel spreadsheet, let us know in the chat, okay? So we can organize.
We can swap and have, for example, fun about about numbers and money, and then we can go on with the other one.
Perfect. And then
so yes, of course, the expenses, because they are not all the same for all of us. And yes, you have the different CPDs, coaching, the professional memberships.
Of course.
If you attend, for example, conferences and events, for example, last year.
Yeah, if you're a member of Chamber of Commerce, if you're attending conferences, as Ileana mentioned, or exhibitions, or CPD courses, everything can go under in the expenses. Also subscription to software or hardware that you buy for your company, or even the phone bills that you have if you use phone,
of course,
yes. Everything is included in the expense. And I have an Excel spreadsheet, very comprehensive, with the mentoring for translators group. So go in the files and download it, because it includes several different types of expenses there, especially for our profession. It's created by international associations. So go and find it, because you can become, inspired about what other can be. So Genevieve is here. I think a topical aspect to add would be in inflation, definitely, as it may be difficult to adjust rates with some customers at a later point. And that's why we can change, our rates, Genevieve. And that's why I'm always suggesting, my mentees to take into consideration those things like inflation, as you mentioned, so as to adjust the rates. All of my suppliers, they called me or they sent me emails this year, and they told me, Virginia, from now on, or from January 2023, our rate will change to this amount. So everyone, has increased their rates, even tomatoes. And we as translators, we keep having the same rates for the last 8 years. For example, we never take into consideration, as Genevieve mentions here, the inflation. We never take into consideration the taxes that they change. We never take into consideration the expenses that they increase, because everything increases. For example, for me, the call center that I have a subscription, they have increased since this month. Who else sent me and they told me they're going to have new rates from the new year? Many suppliers of mine. So everything, increases, even my subscription to Chamber of Commerce. So everything, increases, and we cannot keep the same rate. So thank you, Genevieve, for your comments. It's really important to know that as well. So anything else you'd like to add to this slide, Ileana?
No, so I was just thinking, apart from inflation, of course, when you insert your number in the Excel file, you get, of course, the minimum your minimum fee, let's say, in
Exactly.
order to achieve your goal. But this doesn't mention that you have to stick to it. So this is only the base. Of course,
Exactly. That's
when
the
you get
base.
a new client, for example, you can charge, for example, also, I don't know, 0.15, 0.17, 0.20. So it's up to you. You have to, let's say, to perceive the client. You have to be aware of your value, and then you can charge even more. That is the basis in order to cover the expenses.
That's, for me, it's really important to know what's the
But
minimum you need to charge. Okay, so as you to be able to charge more. And also what Ileana just mentioned, it's easier for you to increase rates for new clients rather than the existing one. With the existing ones, they need a specific, particular way of approaching the subject. Whereas the new clients, that's your new rates, it's easier, and always it's about confidence. You need to feel confident about the rates that you charge. Okay, and it's always a mindset issue here as well. I hear people, they think that is unethical, they don't feel confident, and that's something you need to work on yourself a lot. So as to be able to charge your worth. People, they join my mentoring programs, they were able to charge 28 cents. And I know that there exist out there translators, they charge 40 cents. And I always, ask you this question: what makes them different? Why they're able, to get projects with 28 cents or 40 cents per word, and you struggle to get clients for 6 or 8 cents? That's food for thought. That's something we need to take into consideration. And as soon as we realize our worth to our clients and we charge our worth, our clients won't keep telling us, I can find a cheaper solution. I have found this offer that is cheaper, because they find people that they're not professionals, okay, or people they do not know how much they need to charge. And I remember, that's a real case scenario, Ileana. A lady came to my office and she told me, she gave me some Italian papers, and they were pretty difficult also in terms of format. It was also about taxes. Anyway, and I charged her, my minimum rate that I have, which is not that high, okay? But she told me, I found that last year with 10 euros per page. And I told her very kindly, okay, and why don't you go again to that lady that she translated this for 10 euros per page? I don't feel, obliged or anything. You're not obliged to work with me. And she told me, you're very kind the way you approach me, but this lady has closed your office. Yes, there's a reason why those people, they close their business and their office. Because if they cannot do the work that Ileana just described, to know how much you need to charge in order to make a profit, most probably you won't exist the upcoming years in our industry.
Yeah.
And it's not because the industry itself is not growing, because translation, localization industry is growing. If you don't know how much to charge, and if you think that by charging 10 euros per page you'll be more competitive and you will get more clients, you will end up not being able to pay your bills, and your office will close as soon as you won't realize that. So that's a real discussion I have had, Ileana, with a client. That's not the only one, and that's sad to say, but as soon as we realize, and as soon as we educate the new translators, the newbies in the industry, how much they should charge the end clients. And also, not only newbies, I remember an association here, Greek association presidency, charges the end client, military companies, 8 cents, the same amount that she charges, let's say, the agencies. You cannot charge the end client the same amount you charge for an intermediary, an agency, or an LSP. We need to educate, okay, people. And it's pretty sad to see even people with 15 years of experience not knowing, how much they need to charge the end client. So as to leverage the whole profession by knowing how much we charge, by educating new translators how much they should charge in order to make a living. Not only we help other people to make a living out of this profession, but I think that we leverage the whole profession and industry itself. It's a purpose. It's, for me, the passion I have for this profession, this coaching and these mentoring sessions, because I feel like I'm contributing just a little bit to actually leverage this industry by educating newbies or even well-established colleagues, learning on how much they should charge to make at least a living and profit out of this profession. So it's really, really important. This, for me, it's my purpose. I would do it even voluntary, if not getting paid from this profession, to educate new people how much they should charge, and to be able to raise awareness on this pricing model that all of us, because if all of us, we are strong enough to charge our worth, there won't be any clients telling us, I have found a cheaper solution. But it's because there are people, they are not professionals, and because there are newbies that they don't know much their worth, and they do not know how much to charge. And because, as Ileana initiated this live today, that we as translators, we don't talk about numbers for some reason, is the reason why our clients, they find cheaper solutions, and they are, let's say, have the whole time this answer like, I have found someone cheaper. But if we change this, it's up to us to change this and never get such replies again.
Yeah, for me, it is very important to, yes, not only to educate, but to let the client perceive the value that you can give them.
Exactly.
Because if you offer, let's say, a complete service, you are not, let's say, comparable to anybody else. If you are the go-to expert, if you are, I don't know, if you are kind, if you are not only kind, I mean, but if you offer, let's say, a whole
you have a high
experience.
response rate. Of course, you have a responsive rate. You have after sales support. There are many different things you can add value to your work and offer to your clients, and they need to take that into consideration.
That's right.
First of all, you need to realize so as to make your clients aware of this, because most of the times the people that work with me, they don't realize their value, they don't know their value, and that's what we do in the Fully Booked Translator formula. So because we're heading over time, here you say that now the most important thing, be sure to have always a sum apart for urgencies. Okay, we're thinking that.
Yes, and then of course, as I said before, yes, you have to calculate your own times and prices, because, for example, if you would like to work, I don't know, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, or I don't know, you have to, yes, to have some spare time for you. So weekends, holidays. So some of us would like, as you said, you have 2 months. I, for example, some years ago, I had only 5, for example, weeks. Then you have to consider when you are ill, and so it's all up to you. So you can decide, and yes, depending on your goals and on your time and whatever else, because anybody of us has different situations, and so you have to decide according to your own needs.
So you have here working hours, weekends, holidays, illness. That's why I calculate per 10 months per year, not 12. And with your prices, there are your minimum fees to be arranged according to your project. Minimum rates are really important. Final check. Do you have considered everything? You can always review it monthly or anytime something changes, and then you review it once a year. So definitely, Genevieve, the fact that you mentioned that you need to readjust your rates because of inflation, it falls under here, the 5 steps that Ileana mentioned. So thank you so much, Ileana. Can you sum up the 5 steps of the process? Can you sum up the 5 steps of the process that we just covered here?
Yes. So first of all, ask for advice to a professional, and prepare, let's say, the first thing. Then you have to, according to your personal situation, you have to consider the taxes, and the social security, which are compulsory. And so this is, let's say, the first step. Then, of course, you have to, once you have deducted the taxes and the social security, you have your own expenses depending on you. So it's up to you, depending if you are
Let's sum up. One. Which is the one step is?
One, for ask firstly to a professional in order to identify your position.
Okay. 2,
prepare your business. Your, let's say, your estimation.
3.
So with the taxes and so
we show that. Okay. You can watch the recording if you missed it.
The third step, let's say, is the taxes, the compulsory part. So the taxes and the social insurance. Then you have for your expenses. According to CPDs, coaching, and so on.
Unexpected situations included there.
Yes, unexpected situation. And then 5, you have the review. You can do it, I don't know, monthly, as soon as you add an expense. Or, for example, at the end of the year, or you can do it so twice a year after 6 months, sorry. And then at the end of the year, I do normally once, twice a year, let's say. So the first one in December or January when I plan, and then when I review it at the end of the year.
So here you see on my screen, because I don't want to take much of your time, shortly I will show you how I calculate the rates, and I'm creating the pricing frame and model for my one-to-one clients. So what we do, it's pretty simple. You can take a screenshot or you can book a free call with me to discuss it. You need to have your current situation in the middle. You see here, this column here, it has the current situation. So let's say that you currently earn per year 50,000 euros. Okay, you need to know what's your output per hour. So you need to calculate how many words you have translated, how many hours you worked, you divide that, and then how many hours per day, you divide the daily hours with the words that you have translated, and you find your output per words per hour. You can have like your business model 5 hours per day. That's what we created for that specific lady that she works for me, which accounts to 20 hours per week, which is 80 hours per month, and that's end up per year 800 hours. Okay, that's per year. So if you divide the annual revenue with the hours that you work, you can find your hourly rate. And if you divide the hourly rate with the words that you translate, you can come up with your rate that you need to charge. Okay, more or less, that's an approximate, because you might have clients with 7 cents, you might have clients with 20 cents, but we need to find an approximate that you need to know how much you've been charging so far. So it's based on your output, hourly, daily, and annually, to find out how much you need to charge. Okay, so as to reach the 50K. And once you know your numbers, that's something we're going to do together. The next thing is to put your goal. That's your goal here. So let's say you would like to create a 6-figure business, which means to go from 50K per year to 120K, okay, 120,000 a year. That's what a real goal we created with my mentee. And she wants to create the same hours, to work like 4 hours per day. Okay, for a 5-day, let's say, and her output is more or less on a daily basis 2,500 words. That's what she mentioned. Okay, so let's say we found out that her hourly output, okay, this is daily, a day, and this is per hour, the words, okay, per hour. So if you know your hourly rate, you know how many hours you need to work per year, and you know, for example, here, how much you need to, how many words you translate per year, okay, that's annual, per year words, then you can divide and you can find your per word rate. I can tell you this is not very high, especially for certified translators. And also always that number that I have bolded here can depend, you can change it if you add 1 more hour. So you can make less, let's say, lower rates if you work 1 more hour, or you can, let's say, increase your output. You can, let's say, translate more words per year if you increase the hours, or your hourly output if you work with machine translation, neutral translation, or if you hire a team to work for you. There are ways that you can lower the per word rate by increasing other aspects, so as again, to reach a 6-figure business. So if you know that number, you know, by keeping the same, let's say, flow on projects, workflow, you will be able to make a 6-figure. You can take a screenshot, you can use it. I'm sharing in the chat also my link if you would like to review it. It's pretty simple, the method, but for me, it's a mindset issue. Stop accepting projects that people providing you. If you first don't know how much you need to charge, your threshold that Ileana mentioned, which is the minimum. Here is not the minimum, okay? The threshold is not based on the goal. Threshold is based on your expenses, okay? Your expenses. You need to know what are your business and life expenses if you're a solopreneur, and you need to know how much you need to charge in order to cover those expenses, and that's the threshold. That's the minimum that you never go under this. Usually is 7 to 8% depending where you're based. After you know your threshold, that's the minimum that you charge. And then you need to create this plan just to know where you are currently and when you want to go, how much you need to change, okay? Your business model, the hours that you work, or your output, or your rate, which actually we work on the rate, is the easiest thing that you need to change, so as to get where you want to go, which is a 6-figure business. It's a pretty simple approach that most of us, we don't know, okay? We are not educated to follow. We keep accepting rates that people are giving us, and that's why we end up at the end of the year not making the money that we want. And most of the times at the end of the month, we are not able to pay our bills. And that's why you come to me and you're telling me, Virginia, I'm very good as a translator, but I didn't make like even 20K last year. We need to change that, especially if you're very good at what you do, okay? We need to charge your worth, as Ileana mentioned, and that's a very simple table, but you need to put your own numbers, because each of you have different output, okay, that you translate per day. Each of you have a different business model. You don't need to work 4 hours per day. You can work 8 hours per day. You can work 4 days per week. It's up to you, but you need to calculate that so as to know how much you need to charge. And that's, again, an approximate number. Doesn't mean that you can, let's say, reassure the workflow that you will have, but at least you know more or less where you need to stand with your pricing so as not to be that far away of your goal. And if you charge at least the threshold, you will know that you will be making a living. And I can tell you that you will make some profit at the end, because most of the times we charge less than our threshold, less than the minimum that we should charge. That's why we're not making a living out of this profession, or at least we're not making the living that we have had initially in our mind, or our dream, let's say, life. Thank you, everyone. We've been already 60 minutes almost, Ileana, live here. I don't want to hold people longer unless you have any questions. If you're watching the recording, use the hashtag recording, tag me or Ileana if you have questions for me or Ileana. You can reach out to Ileana on LinkedIn, definitely. This is always available for you. And also in our Mentoring for Translators Facebook group, because she is the community manager there, so you can definitely tag Ileana. And of course, myself, you can reach out to me. And I've shared in the chat also my link for a free call with me if you would like at least to find out your minimum rate. Let's do this together, because I really want to, by helping you, to help leverage this industry. That's my goal. That's my vision. Let's do this together. Thank you so much, Ileana. That was really insightful. Thank you for sharing your secrets with us and how you've been with your business. And as a last question, I know that you might tell me the example that Ileana gave us is not for a six-figure. We gave more or less an average of the amount that most translators starting out, an average they're making, so as to be close to your numbers. But it's definitely a great starting point to know, okay, and calculate your own numbers. You don't need to make 50K. We just took some numbers on the top of our heads based on the average that we've been seeing other colleagues making. But definitely my example include also the 50K and the 120K per year. So you can see an example of a six-figure business. You're welcome, Dorota. Do you have any questions? Are you going to use this formula to create your own rates? Let us know in the chat. Dorota is a member of the Full Book Translator Formula. So there is a bonus training, Dorota, on pricing, and we're going to create your prices anyway. Nicola, the same applies to you. So thank you, Genevieve, Nicola, Dorota, Ahmed, everyone who has been here live with us for almost an hour. Amazing. Thank you, Lena. Thank you, Virginia. Wishing you a wonderful evening. Thank you, Nicola. Wishing you a great weekend. Thank you for being such a positive person, Nicola.
You too.
Ileana, thank you so much for your great insights. Can't wait to have you again here for a live that we've promised to people about
With pleasure. With pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. And see you next time.
Thank you all. Okay. And yes, the Fully Booked Translator Formula has started already since yesterday. If you would like to get a wait list, so you can join the wait list, okay, for later on. We've started with 20 people from all over the world. Great community. Ileana, see you in our alumni. Okay, you stay here with me and we close the live. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us live. Have a great weekend. See you next week.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.